Hello and welcome to the video. In this video, we're talking about learning record stores, or LRSs for short. So, what is a learning record store? That's a good question. It's basically a database that holds all of your xAPI data. So, if you're familiar with xAPI, you know that xAPI data gets sent in the form of statements. Devlin did this, Devlin completed the course. In your learning record store, you can see a stream of all of those statements, so you can see exactly which activities your learners are completing. If you're not familiar with xAPI, go ahead and check out the What is xAPI video, because you probably want to know what xAPI is before learning more about learning record stores. So here's an important distinction. Learning record stores, or LRSs, are not the same thing as learning management systems, or LMSs. So these two acronyms look the same, but these things are very different. The LRS deals with holding all of your data, and they usually have some kind of functionality that lets you view your data and run analytics on your data to see dashboards and graphs and charts. But a learning management system plays somewhat of a different role. You're probably familiar with LMSs. They gate content behind user accounts so that your employees or learners have to sign in, and they get all of the content and courses that you've assigned to them. So it deals a lot with restricting access, making sure that the right people have access to the right things, and it also has some basic reporting capabilities from SCORM. So you can see who started your courses, who completed your courses, what they scored on the quizzes, and that sort of thing. Some LMSs actually have built out and integrated their own custom LRSs, but that's not the norm. And it's perfectly fine to have an LMS with one company and to use an LRS from a completely different company. Just know that these two things are not to be confused. So, if you want to get started with xAPI, you are going to need a learning record store. And if you spend any amount of time doing research on learning record stores, you'll see that there are a lot of options on the market. I'm going to run through a handful of them here, but know that this is not an exclusive list. You can find one that works for you. So Watershed is a really popular one. They have a free forever plan that lets you store all of your statements there, and then you can view them in a statement stream like I was talking about. But if you want to make use of their advanced reporting features, you are going to need to spend at least a couple of $1,000s per month. So that is more of like a premium offering for organizations. Veracity LRS, I really like them. They're a bit more beginner friendly because their pricing is more friendly. I think it goes up to like $100 a month versus a couple thousand. And they do have a really generous free plan that gives you, I think it's full access to all of their reporting features. So you can build custom dashboards that you can share with different stakeholders and clients. So Veracity is a really good option if you're just getting started and want to do some xAPI proof of concepts. Learning Locker, another great one. They're completely open source. So you can take a copy of all of their learning record store software and put that onto your own server. And the most common way to do that is using Amazon Web Services to host it. That runs about $30 per month, but you have a fully functioning open source learning record store with that approach. They also have an enterprise option, but that will run you more money, but you have access to additional tools. The most notable, I think, would be their GDPR compliance tool. So if you are based in Europe and you're concerned about privacy and adhering to GDPR, Learning Locker Enterprise version is a good option to look at. Grassblade LRS, also pretty affordable. They are most known for their integrations with LearnDash, and a lot of people use them to host xAPI content on WordPress, but it's not restricted to that, and you can still use it as a normal, solo functioning LRS, just like the others. And finally, Yet Analytics, they used to have a free trial. I was looking around on their website and it looks like they don't have that anymore, but they are a big player in the xAPI and LRS space. So definitely check them out when you're considering your options. And what I'd like to do now is go ahead and show you some of the learning record stores in action. So this one you see right here is Watershed LRS. This is just the home page, so you can see, the activity in the last 30 days. Here's how many people have performed different actions. Here's how many actions they are performing. You can see how many total statements were sent here. So they do have some basic reporting. If you try to go to their report builder, you'll see this is a premium feature. You need to pay to access it. But you can see your statement stream by going to data and then data search. And this will show you all of your xAPI statements. You can click on any of them to go ahead and expand it and see the full xAPI object. If this looks a bit intimidating to you, and it might if you're not familiar with JSON or xAPI statements, don't worry. I have a video coming out next week that's going to help you write an xAPI statement from scratch. And looking at this then, you'll be on much more familiar ground and you'll know how to read this and what's going on here. So don't worry about that. Here's Veracity LRS, the one that I've been recommending people start with recently. When you sign in, you'll see which learning record stores you have active. We'll go ahead and jump in this sample one that they give you with the account. You can see some activity. Again, there's no recent activity. This is just sample data. But you can access that statement stream by going to xAPI data and then statements. And here we go. We see this stream again, actor, verb, object. We can see when people start courses, when they stop them, when they pass them. It's a long stream, and we can even customize what we see in this statement stream. So right now it's limited to just actor, verb, and object. But if we scroll all the way to the bottom, we can see new things like the user's response to the questions. We can see whether or not they passed the quiz or question and those sort of things. Just by toggling these elements, we can add to that statement stream. So that's a really cool part about Veracity. And you can even build custom dashboards like I was saying. So we'll hop over to this analytics page, custom dashboards, and I threw together this course data dashboard just to show that we can see. I split it up by courses, and I made sure that it only counts people who passed the course. So we can see about 10 people have passed this course, a little bit over 15 have passed this one, and it's really easy to get a public link and share these with whoever you want. And this is all completely free on their free plan. So really cool stuff here. I also pulled up my Analytics LRS. You can see a little abbreviated statement stream here, how many statements are in the LRS. You can see activity over the past month and which days people were most active. You can even see which actors are the most active. And this is all default functionality. This used to be included on the free trial. I would reach out to them to see if they still do this. It was called the Sandbox LRS. And at the bottom here, this is the statement stream, just like we saw on the other ones. We can see the new xAPI statements as they come in. And just like with Veracity LRS, we can modify this to change what we actually see in this statement stream. So I hope that was helpful, diving into those specific learning record stores and kind of seeing how they all do have that similar statement stream. It's really going to be a difference in what extra tools and features they have, how easy it is to use their reporting functionality, and that sort of thing. So the cool thing about learning record stores is that you're not restricted to one. Say you really like Watershed LRS for their integrations. They do have a really good Zapier integration. So say you like using Watershed for that reason, but you like using Veracity LRS for all of their free reporting capabilities. Well, you can set it up so that whenever Watershed receives an xAPI statement, it immediately forwards it to Veracity LRS. So then you have the same xAPI statement in both learning record stores, and all you had to do was send it to Watershed. And this isn't uncommon at all. People and organizations that are using xAPI as part of their ecosystem, they are using multiple learning record stores for their different strengths and for their different programs. Different teams might use different LRSs, and they all feed back into one main LRS. So that's a cool part about xAPI and interoperability. It's not like an LMS where you have to commit to just using this single learning management system for years, and then it's some really costly migration to move to a different one. If you want to switch from one LRS to another, you can do so in a matter of minutes or hours, because it's just a matter of moving all of that data over to the new one. So that is cool, and that's a wrap for this video. So if you are liking what we're talking about here, xAPI, learning record stores, e-learning development overall, go ahead and subscribe, because there is more good stuff coming. I've also been doing some really deep dive live workshops on using xAPI and Articulate Storyline. So check out the Crowdcast link in the comments if you're interested in that. And I have a really in-depth xAPI and learning record store article. I'll also drop that link in the comments, so check it out if you'd like, and I will see you in the next one.